Welcome to Clever Conversations. This is a chance for us to meet indie artists, authors, creators of all kinds, and we hope you enjoy this ride with us. Let's get into the show. Hey, everybody, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're joining me today. I'm excited because I met this man a while back. We've had lots of text conversations, but not meeting in person. He's a friend of our good friend, Cortland, and I am so glad to welcome Shawn Landrum today. Hi, Shawn. Welcome to the show.
What's up, Bree? How's it going?
It's good, man. It is good. We are deep into fall, heading into winter. We are getting excited for all things. And we just came out of a writer's strike, which I thought I would ask you about. I didn't tell you I was going to ask you about that, but what did you think about the SAG-AFTRA are still striking, but did that affect you at all, the writer's strike, or do you have any opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the writer strike affected everybody in the industry. I'm on the little totem pole end of things, right? So, yeah, I definitely got hit. Luckily, I found solace in helping some other writers during the writer strike get their scripts to where it needs to be. So, the key was that hopefully everything will work out. It did, and they can get back to work. And I think everybody's ready to definitely rock and roll and get something going. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was really I'm all for unions and the ability to strike to really make those demands. And with AI and all the things coming in, I was really pleased that they took a stand, and then that SAG went right in there as well, and they're still on strike. A friend of mine is one of the strike captains and works with Fran. She's out in LA right now at Paramount and all the different studios every day on the strike lines, and so it's really important to support the people that we all think, oh, they make so much money and why does it matter, but there's a lot of people that are just barely earning a living out there, or there's writers out there that are getting taken advantage of or can have their stuff stolen through AI and things like that. And so it's really important to stand together in solidarity and demand the things that you guys have coming to you, like the fairness, the equality, and all of those things. So I was really pleased. I'm glad that it got resolved. I'm glad you're back to work, but way to go and make a smart pivot in there to help other writers. I did see some of the reviews that people left about how well you've helped them. You're pretty incredible. What is it about writing that when was the moment that you were like, I'm going to be a writer?
For me, this has been like a 7-year journey for me thus far. Prior to that, just like any enthusiast, I was always in the movie theaters, predicting outcomes and endings and, talking stuff about how I could make it better and all this and that, just like anybody else. But so I guess I always had that niche, but, like I said, it started 7 years ago. Like I said, I started transferring books to script. Enhancing scripts, ideas, hopes, dreams, and everything in between. You know what I mean? So, I guess right when the necessity came in, is when something clicked, and I wrote that first script, and sold it like 5 days later. Started winning film awards, film festivals, overseas writers, things of this nature, and just was on the road from there. So I think once I found that thing, it wasn't something that came overnight. It wasn't something that's like you just pick up and do. It took a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of push. 4 a.m. wake up calls just to get in there writing time. And it became a love. And a great way to express myself as well. And that's kind of when I fell in love with it.
Wow. Yeah, I have to ask you, so when you take a novel or you take a book and you do transfer that into like a screenplay, what what are some of the major differences? Because we all read, right? We'll read a book, we'll love the book, and then we're like, oh, I can't wait for it to be a movie, right? And then we go see the movie, and we're like, either it lives up or exceeds our expectations, or we feel like we're like, but you miss so many of the good parts. Like, how do you make that transition? What are some of the things that you have to do to turn it into a script?
Oh yeah, so a ton of work goes into turning it and adapting it into a script. So you may have a 5, 6, 700 page novel, you know what I mean, and you got to condense that into a 90-minute story. So obviously, you know, you're going to spend a lot of time with the author. We go back and forth. You know, I point out things as best as I can. First of all, I follow their vision. You know what I mean? I get a feel for what they want. I read the story over and over. After that, you know, I may say, all right, I know about, you know, 4 or 5 films in the same genre with the same kind of story. Let me go ahead and take a look at these films, see what connected from each one. And you know, I compile all this data, right? And then once I have it, I'm able to go back to the author and say, hey, this is the storyline I think we should go with. This is what I do. This is what I change. This is what I'd keep. And you know, 9 times out of 10, as long as you're respecting that author's main gumption about the book, it usually works out. So,
Like, yeah, you're keeping that driving force, right? Like, what was the main idea of that brought it through? That was the thing that I probably that you connected with, right? Because like if you're gonna do an adaptation on a novel, there has to be something that I think that connects to you, as a reader, and then you can expand on and bring into the light of a script, like what is the essence of that book.
absolutely, absolutely, you nailed it on the head there. Absolutely.
Thanks. I tried. Well, I'm always fascinated by it, right? Because I'm a huge reader. I love reading books. I fell in love with Tolkien. Was like my thing when I really knew. It was, I think, seventh grade, and we had to read The Hobbit, and I was fascinated with it because this was a book that told this incredible epic story, but then also really created a whole new world of creatures and beings in it, and language, like its own languages were in there, and so like it drew me in. And ever after that, then I was reading everything I could get my hands on, and I was so looking forward to the movies. You know, I went into the Lord of the Rings, I did all of that stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't wait, and I had to wait I won't even tell you when seventh grade was for me, but let's just say I had to wait a really long time for those movies to come out. I was a grown ass woman with kids that were just, you know what I mean? Like it
Right,
was
right.
quite some time. And then I felt it did it justice, even though I know it missed, there were a lot, they were huge. They were like 700 pages for Lord of the Rings each book, right? So that's a lot of material to work with.
Oh yeah.
Um, I was going to ask you, I think I have a couple questions that I wanted to ask you, but since we're on this vein of things right now,
Mhm.
is there a novel or something that's like a favorite book of yours, or it could even be a movie that you would love to write a sequel to?
Oh heck yeah, man. So you know, I love anime. You know, so I love manga as well. And there's a specific one. It's called One Piece, right? And in One Piece, there's a character by the name of Ace that he ends up dying. He's Luffy's the main character's brother, but he ends up dying. And not so much as write a sequel, but maybe like rewrite his story a little bit because I just really connected with that character. So I'd like to see him win or at least go out with a big bang. Yeah, he went out with a big bang, but
Give
just
him a proper send off.
a proper send off. You know what I mean? Or even an
Yeah.
alternate reality where he lives. You know, either or.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rewrite,
yes,
like we can change our stars.
yeah,
I love the power of words and things. I always my father was a wordsmith in my vision, in what I remember of him and the things that he would write. Nothing was just a simple sentence in anything that he did. And
yeah,
I learned the power of words and how important they are. And Chaucer was one that always was, you can eviscerate people with your words. You can do long lasting things. I mean, when we look back and we look at some of the people that have created great change, even after they're gone, uh,
yeah,
Dr. Martin Luther King would be one of them, right? Because his words still come back and we still quote him and we still try to learn from his message. It is his words, and it was the power of his words that made such a difference. And so, how do you find do you think about that when you're writing something, the power of the words, the things that can really make that impact and have that long lasting effect in the world?
yeah, yeah. Martin Luther King was words and his actions, man. So, it was his words that painted the picture. So, um, like to me, like words are it's like a gateway into people's thoughts, right?
Hmm.
If I describe a scenario or scene or character description to you, your brain is going to paint a picture in its head about what I'm talking about. Like that's kind of cool. You know what I mean? So being that it's used in so many different ways, from poetry to theater to just normal conversations between two souls. It's the outward expression of what you're feeling. So words are very special, and yeah.
Yeah, I think we underestimate the power of our words. I think we don't, maybe in today's world we just don't think how they impact others as much, and I think it can cause a lot of harm. And if we were a little more thoughtful in the words that we chose, I just watched this really ridiculously silly TikTok, or maybe it was a Facebook, one of those kinds of things, and it was this guy talking to himself but dressed differently, saying, do you ever get those customers that are at a restaurant and when you're a waiter, that they just say the most horrendous things to you? How do you deal with that? And he said, I tell them, I'm sorry, could you repeat that? And then, but I thought this was really interesting, because he says, and then they have to think about what they just said,
Mm,
and most of the time they rephrase it. And I
makes
thought that
sense.
was really interesting,
Makes
because
sense.
their first reaction is, "Man, this sucks and it's terrible, and wouldn't feed this to my dog," right, or something like that.
Oh yeah,
And he's like, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Could you say that again?
yeah.
I didn't quite catch that." And he's like, and then they have to think about, what did I just say, and is
Mm,
that really the thing that I wanted to say, and is that the way I should treat other people? Like, all these thoughts go through their head, and then he rephrases it like, I really just don't like this. I think it's, I don't know if something's wrong with it or not, but I'd like to get something different. And so it comes out a lot. So I think if
absolutely.
I just thought that was so powerful, and it was a silly little TikTok, right? But I thought,
Hmm.
damn, that's so powerful. If you say, "I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you," and then they
Yeah,
have to repeat it and hear themselves saying it again,
yeah.
like,
Like
yeah,
what the?
damn, that was terrible. You should not have said that. Exactly.
That's funny. Man. That's
I
funny.
thought it was, so that's the power of our words. That's the powers, and it's also the thing that can live beyond our lifetimes here, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And make an impact into the other. I'm fascinated. I love books. I love writing. I sometimes write things and I'll go back and read it later and go, I wrote that? Really? Me?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you
And
ever do that?
that's when you got something special. You know what I mean? Because yeah, I have that all the time. Like, oh shit, that really came from me. Like, okay, yeah. As a ghostwriter, I've had to tackle many genres. You know what I mean? And I've
Hmm.
always gave it that special flair and with a message behind it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Well, you were talking about Ace just a minute ago, and you were saying how like you wanted to give him a different ending. When you're writing, and there's different like there's characters that aren't the main character. Do you ever like go to like, okay, the next thing would be like telling their story? Do you ever like see their story that's never told in the original, right? It's not really told. But do you ever want to do like the side story, or there's an author named Maeve Binchy. She's one of my favorite authors. She's
Yeah.
passed now. Maeve is amazing, and she wrote a lot of different characters that crossed over, right? So you'd see a side character that you wouldn't know too much about them, but then all of a sudden they would get a whole novel about them, and they
Mm-hmm.
were already familiar to you because you kind of already met them, right? Like you weren't friends with them, but you're like, oh yeah, I met you before. Oh, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
hear it now. I'm going to get to know you. Do you ever want to do that, or have you ever done that?
Oh yeah, just like in The Hobbit, right? But yeah, all the time, man. I fall in love with characters. I don't want to see them go, and sometimes it's tough, man. Even when I have to cut characters, sometimes that's just the way it goes. You gotta make room. You gotta make sure the story's told correctly. So the toughest thing for me to do is cut characters and cut scenes, because you fall in love with your work, right?
Yep.
And you want to see everything. You want to make sure everybody sees everything, but at the same time, you got budgets, you got restraints that you have to adhere to. So yeah, I fall in love with characters all the time.
That's so cool. I think they do take a life of their own. I think you get really invested into who they are.
Right.
I've fleshed out characters before, and I feel like they talk to me and I know them. And like, I'm like,
Mhm.
oh yeah, what would they say, or what would they do? And I think, that they would have their own story. That'd be a really cool story, because that everyone has something that they want to share.
Yes.
Um, I want to move on. I want to talk a little bit about something that's coming up for you that's pretty huge. You have a comic coming out, Goons
Yes.
for Hire.
Goons for Hire. Yes. Yes.
Tell
Yes.
us about it. Yeah, tell everybody about it. I want to hear all about it. I'm a comic fan, so I think it's going to be really exciting from the little bit I've seen about it. So I need more. You got to give me more on it.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So, like Goons for Hire is an emotionally supercharged, like free for all power, injustice, sacrifice, love, like all in the one, easy to read and follow along comic. It takes place in an alternate reality, one in which commercial robbery is more of a sport. It's actually been turned into a national sport, just like basketball or football. One in which, you know, people can actually have jobs working as goons for supervillains and pay their taxes. And, it's like punching
That's
out from a
awesome.
9 to 5. Right. So, yeah, they don't do jail time. They get dental. Obviously, they get,
Bonuses, I suppose.
you know what I
Paid
mean?
time off.
Paid time off, the whole nine. You get beat up by people that can bench press buildings. You know what I mean? You're gonna need some medical.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So
And dental. Don't
yeah,
forget the
and
dental. I'm sure they've lost a few teeth along the way.
absolutely. So Goons for Hire, they're in the colleges on career day, just like anybody else. It's a job, and in this particular comic, we're gonna get introduced to the Goons Paradise Run, which is a free for all throughout the entire city. You got goons attached to supervillains, and it's a superhero's jobs to take them down. But at the end of the day, money's given to charity, and everybody's a win-win. Nobody gets hurt.
Wow.
It's an error in that's not really been seen before, as to where you got characters like Batman, right? Joker, 20 goons, all matching attire. He'll
Yep.
probably kill you before he pays you. Like, where's he getting all these people from? Where's he getting the threads to do all this? And he's, come on, man. Like, this is where it comes from. So it's a legit thing, and it's so legit that it's government ran. On top of that, plus if let's say the villain slides off the rails and wants to push a button or really hurt somebody, the goons actually stop them. So it's like a fail safe. It's a
Wow.
beautiful story. You know, yeah. I'm looking forward to introducing it to the world, man. So it's Goons for Hire. Kickstarter's
The
coming out.
rise of Norm, right?
Yes, ma'am. It's all about Norm in this one, and he's a bad boy.
I love it. When are we going to see this? You've got the Kickstarter going. We're going to
Yes,
put links to all of this in the description so everybody can grab it and go support it. When's it coming out?
it's due right now to be out end of March, beginning of April, and that's a soft release date. And yeah. First issue's coming out, man. You know, I'm pretty excited about it. Oh, and then Kickstarter, man. This is big. You know, you're going to have an opportunity to actually create a character with me that's going to appear in issue 1. So yeah, man.
Can I make
November
a good
18th.
goon? How about me? Can I be a
Be a
goon?
goon for sure. You know, I can see it now. Yeah.
I love it. Got to put all the tattoos on there. I got to have all these. I got to have all this
Yeah.
stuff on there.
There it is. The tattoos move off your body. You know, captures people. Like yeah.
Yes.
I can see it. Yeah.
That's perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
So go support and check out the Kickstarter. I love that you're doing that. I think that is the way to go when you're coming out with something new like this, is to get people involved and feel like they're a part of what it is you're putting out there.
Exactly.
Because where else can you, like, you can't really else do that, where you're like, no one's in Hollywood is putting out, come be in our big movie. I mean, they get extras in their area, but like, what about me out here? And I want to be in there somehow. And this is a great way for people to be a part of it.
Absolutely. This is the beginning of the journey for it now. And you know, before I turned it into a comic book, I wrote a feature film on this. So it's actually, the scripts won in film festivals all over the world, at least over 20 countries and counting.
Wow.
It's won in the heart of anime in Tokyo, Japan. You know, all over the world.
That's huge too, because they take that stuff really seriously.
Yeah. And that was a huge honor, man. Yeah. So, like I said,
Congratulations.
script's a banger. Yeah. And I definitely wanted to make a comic book before coming out with anything, man. I want to build that fan base, and I think this is a great way for it.
You got to do a little merch with it too. You know, you're going to have merch.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's all about that.
It's all
what
about
inspires
that.
you? What inspired this? What was the catalyst for this for you?
Yeah. Now this one actually goes back to my childhood. You know what I mean? So, like I said, you know, you get all these cartoons that come on Saturday morning, and like I said, the villains got 20 guys, all matching attire. You know, if it's a fish dude, they're all wearing fish stuff. You know what I mean? And it's just like, realistically, like, how many people are you finding in back alleys to do this? You know what I mean? It's got to be a control center, and that's always bothered me. So, yeah. You know, it's this explains it.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
That's really cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it, and I want to be a part of it. I have to be a goon. I like it now. I'm excited to be a goon. That's so funny. My kids will laugh at me. They'll think it's crazy, but you know, I'll be the cool mom. I'll be like, yeah, you know, I'm in a comic book. How about you?
Yep,
what are you doing? Get a job, buy your own food. No, you got kids that keep you really busy, and we were talking a little bit about that before we actually hit the record button today and got started. But what do your kids think of all this?
Oh man, they love it, man. You know, they've been a part of it since the beginning. You know, when I wrote the part for Norm, you know, I had my son in mind. I had my daughters in mind, with certain characters, like, and then on top of that, you know, with film festivals and things like that, back when the pandemic was going, it was all.
That's me.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what is going on? But no, back when the pandemic was going on, they were my camera crew. You know what I mean? So nothing was in person. I had to videotape my thank you speech and all that. They made sure the lighting was good. The dad was looking okay, and they stuck with me till we got it right. So yeah,
That's the way to
definitely.
do it. I mean, honestly, put them to work a little bit, but they get involved and they get to see what you're doing and be a part of something, and
Mm-hmm.
it inspires them. Before we wrap up today, it feels like the time just went like super fast. Holy,
Go
it it is. It's good. We'll have you back and we'll talk some more. Um, what do you see with your kids as far as like what you're leaving them? And I don't want to say like I love the word legacy, but I think it's more than just I've written books or I've written scripts and I've done these things. I think there's more that we give our children when they participate and see the creation of something. And so how important is that, and what does that feel like for you when you're leaving this body of work as well as the wherewith like the what am I say determination or the perseverance to kind of keep like to do all of these things, because this is not an easy job. This is not something, this takes a lot of risk. It takes a lot of strength and courage and heart to go into this kind of a field, which it's you're like it could be like a roller coaster ride at times. So what does that mean to you for leaving this to your kids?
Um, as far as legacy,
Yeah.
um, I want the legacy to be drenched in love. Um, so without love, what are we, right? That's the main thing, acceptance, understanding. I want to help leave the world in a better place than I came into it. So if I can do that and complete that, and I think that'll be job well done.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
That's really powerful, and it's a great thing for your kids to see you doing those things, and it's going to inspire them to do great things in their own way and the way that they want to do it. Look, we talked before, all our kids do all different kinds of sports, and they pick their niche, they pick their lane, they pick the place where they feel that is their calling and their thing to do, and you give them the tools and the drive and the perseverance by seeing you do work so hard and do well, to take those skills and apply that to what their love and passion is. And that's a very beautiful thing. And involving them in all of that just brings that home. It gives them that legacy to live up to and to work on. I always thought about my dad when I didn't get along with him when I was growing up, and I didn't have that opportunity. But as an adult, before he passed, I saw the things. I came into the realization of all the things that he was doing,
Hmm.
and the way he was giving to the community and work for just doing all of these things. And so I said, that's when I decided, I was like, if I can do half of the things that he does, then I
Yeah.
have made a positive impact and left the world a little bit better than I when I came into it. So um, that's incredible. I love what you're doing. Will you come back and hang out with me again so we can talk more?
Man, I'll hang out with you anytime. Just
I
let me
love it.
know. We'll make it happen. Oh,
Awesome.
before we go, if you don't
Yeah.
mind, just quick shout out to the kids. My oldest Sean Jr., Jordan, my middle child, and Willow, my youngest. Um, Wife Kia, Mother Teresa, literally Mother Teresa. Love y'all, man. Appreciate everything, and we're gonna continue to rock. Oh, my bad. Shout out to my team over at New Hollywood. Yvette Vargas runs that. Shout out to her. Adam Vargas, James Moore, um, GW3, Renee. What's up? We got a lot of stuff coming up, man. So look forward to it. I'll be out in LA, Mississippi, and Atlanta all next year doing projects. So got some big stuff in the works.
Yeah, I love that. I'm so glad you gave them all a shout out because I wouldn't have remembered all those names. You're ready for that Oscar speech, aren't you? You are right on it. I love it.
Yeah.
Ready for it. So many people to thank because we do it with a team, right? We can't do it by ourselves.
Can't do it by yourself.
You got to have a good team. And that's been the consistent thing that I've always learned. And all the people that I've interviewed, it really comes down to having a great team that that'll support you and then you support them back. So appreciate that. Appreciate all those wonderful people. And I really appreciate you hanging out with me.
It's been a blast. Definitely a blessing. Appreciate you.
We'll see you guys next time. Everything will be in the description. Please go support Shawn. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.